And Lori, your screen's locked up.
Congratulations, Helen and Wendy, I think.
Thank you.
If everyone could please remember to mute themselves.
You have a bad connection, Lori. I don't know if you can hear us, but your screen is frozen and we can voice is
Okay.
echoey.
Live, so please. So
Lori's pretty good at this kind of thing, so I assume she'll log right back in just a minute.
I would assume borrowing her neighbor's Wi-Fi probably. How long do you leave? Do you wait for a full professor?
15 minutes, if I remember my college.
15 minutes.
okay, can you guys all hear me now?
Much better.
Okay, give me a second. Kathleen's on the other line. I have no access to the agenda, so Dr. Silver, I am going to ask if you could help. I'm on my other computer. So I know that I am calling this meeting to order.
Yep.
So I'd like to welcome all that are present. At this time, I ask everybody to please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and
and
justice for all.
for all. I would just like to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded. We have no availability for public session. So if you have any questions or there's any concerns, please email our district clerk at jmontes@k12mcsd.net. And she will make sure that we get those, that communication. I'd also like to let you know that Kathleen Doherty is with us via phone on my end, and Todd Groden is via phone on the other end. So we have a full board with us this evening. Moving on to, let's see how well I remember the agenda. So moving on to a motion to accept
Table the agenda first.
table the agenda. A motion to table the agenda.
Motion to move
Table?
the agenda to the table.
Thank you. Move the agenda to the table. Can I have a motion, please? Mrs. Sharoff, seconded by Mr. Crumley. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Dr. Silver. Any amendments to the agenda?
No amendments or additions, Madam.
Thank you very much. Entertain a motion to accept the agenda made by Mrs. Van Etten, seconded by Ms. Holmes. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? So ordered. Moving on to Ms. Sheriff, I believe you have something you'd like to share with us. You need to take yourself off of mute.
I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry, I don't have it open either. Can somebody else make an amendment, make the motion? Thank you, Alice.
You need to take yourself off of mute. Thank you. You're not off of mute, Alice. There you go.
How's that?
Perfect, thank you.
I'd like to make it a motion to adopt the consent agenda 401 through 402.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, good. All in favor?
I second it.
Thank you, Mrs. Sheriff. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? So ordered. Sorry, I'm trying to do it from memory. So, and moving on to the next scenario is to accept our
Action
Uh,
item.
the action item of the budget vote. So Mrs. Sharoff to accept the budget vote and the election of the board members. You gotta come off mute.
I move that we accept the results of the election for the budget as well as the members.
Mrs. Sharoff, may I ask that you accept it, as is said, accept the budget, we'll accept the budget with regret?
Agreed. I will amend it to accept the budget with regret via roll call vote.
Okay, thank you. Second on that? Mr. Crumley, any discussion? Okay, Mrs. Montez,
Kim Crumley,
Aye.
Kathleen Doherty. Wendy Galligan,
Aye.
Todd Groden,
Aye, with regret.
Jennifer Holmes,
Aye.
Helen Jersey,
Aye.
Lori Oristano James,
I with regret for the budget. Thank you for, and a shout out to those 3 board members who are taking on this challenge.
Stacy Sharoff,
Aye.
and Alice Van Etten.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Dr. Silver, what else is in front of me? That's not in front
That's
of me.
all that's all there is right now.
Okay,
I don't know if the board wants to discuss, has any questions about the budget vote and the next steps. The board would have to make a decision next week at a regular board meeting about whether to adopt a contingent budget. We still don't know about whether the state is going to authorize a second budget vote. We're waiting to hear on that from the governor. I connected with Gercio and Gercio today, and they've answers to how some of this stuff might or might not work. But they don't have any great answers either. And so they're waiting on the governor. Budget vote would be, what's mentioned is either July 21st or July 28th. But what form that would take, whether it would be another full all absentee ballot or a mixture of in-person absentee ballot or some other modification, we do not know yet. Just informationally, this budget vote cost us about $35,000 as compared to a typical year where it costs about $15,000 to do a budget vote. If the board decides to go on a contingent budget, we use the this year's levy, so there'll be a loss of about $830,000 in revenue. And on the budget, on the expenditure side, you can't buy any equipment, so that's about a $950,000 reduction in the budget. That would be buses, vehicles, and any other equipment for operations and maintenance and the schools. And we couldn't buy any school supplies. That's about $18,000, but we'll probably cover that mostly out of this year's budget. So that that's not a problem for next year. Could be a problem for the year after. And then about $200,000 out of the administrative portion of the three-part budget. And Lisa and I have some recommendations for that for the board that we'll put in memo form before next week's meeting. And I met with all the administrators today just to review what a contingent budget was and where we were headed. The big issue is not the contingent budget per se, which sounds funny. It's really what state aid cuts that are going to be on top of the contingent budget. And so I doubt any news about that by next week either, but we'll see what we have to deal with. And the one last thing I would say is with the contingent budget, community groups can't use our buildings. And so I have this whole slew of those, everything from Project Excel and Town of Bethel renting Duggan to Boys and Girls Club and the Hub. So I'm working with Gersier and Gersier to identify funding sources and what the workarounds are, and we'll have some information for you about that next week as well.
Okay. Mr. Crumley?
Do we have any idea of how many other schools around us are kind of in the same predicament that we are presently sitting in?
As best I can tell, all the budgets passed. I know all the budgets passed in Sullivan. I'm thinking all the budgets passed in Orange. I went on the record to check. Ulster is incomplete. Not all the districts are listed. So I wouldn't be shocked if we were the only district in the Tri-County region.
Thank you.
I will say that we were probably one of the only districts that went with a below zero. So our taxpayers did not understand that we actually have already cut the budget. We know what the situation is with COVID. We had already done that. But we have 83 votes that still put us in that no column. So, Ms. Jersey?
Do we have any breakdown by district of the yes and no, like normal?
No, we'll have to go into the books to do that count. I'll talk with Jan tomorrow to do that.
Okay, and Kathleen has a question. Kathleen?
Yeah, I think I already know the answer to this, but I think it needs to be stated for the record. Will our taxpayers be getting a decrease in their taxes?
Will the taxpayers be getting a decrease?
If there's a contingent budget, the tax levy stays exactly the same as it is this year. On an individual basis, that can go up or down, but our total is the same.
Right.
We will most probably have to cut more, and mostly the community groups and activities that the children use, but no reduction in tax rates at this point.
Correct. That is a correct statement. So there'll be cuts with not a reduction in what we're looking at, correct? Because when you go to a contingency budget, it's clear as to what you can and cannot do. It's within the law. Yes, Ms. Jersey? Correct, correct. Kathleen is saying, so they're not going to save anything differently. And the answer is yes. Dr. Silver said that's correct. It stays the same as this year. There might be an individual flux here or there based upon someone's assessment change or something like that, but it would not be anything that would be direct.
The tax equalization rate.
Correct.
So what would happen with Project Excel?
We don't,
We don't know yet.
that's what we need to explore, is what happens to all of those programs, the Attain Lab, Project Excel, Bethel. I have a list of them sitting in my office. But
That is currently a community group of some sort that is using our facilities to give us program for our students is unable to use our facility.
I mean,
So BOCES also?
I'm sorry, Helena.
BOCES also?
I really don't know the
I
answer.
don't know.
There can't be cost to the district. That's really what the rule is. So, but a lot of these programs are partially grant funded and partly privately funded. So how this all works out is going to be, fairly specific on a case-by-case basis.
So any other questions around the table? Ms. Galligan?
Is there any way that we can maybe, I know because it's July 21st and July 28th, we might revisit the budget. I kind of feel that, again, our community maybe is not as educated on the fact that the budget was as low as it was in 2014, that even that they looked at the number and they just vote no, not realizing no matter that our taxes aren't being increased. Those full of things that we talked about. Is there a way to have a link off our website or just have some sort of maybe something educational put up there, kind of outlining what we're outlining so that, the programs, they understand what's happening, and that even making a yes to the budget will just make things better, but not increase their taxes. I just think people are just not educated enough in the information, even though I know the flyer thing went out and people read, people always don't read either, but they seem to be more into web and Facebook and things like that today. In your hand computer stuff as opposed to a mailing or, not to spend any money, but maybe just to dedicate a portion of, our website is phenomenal lately, just educate a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, if the option exists to go ahead with a second budget vote and the board chooses to do that, we could certainly work on that.
Thank you.
So any other questions around the table with regard to this? If anything else should come up, please reach out to me so that I can deliver the information to Dr. Silver so that we have complete package and information for him before our next meeting. Okay, with that said, I thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We will continue to do as we have always done. We will do what is in the best interest of the children based upon what it is that the taxpayers have given us the ability to spend, because that is our fiscal responsibility. But ultimately, it is always our responsibility to ensure that our children receive the education. That is why I serve on this board, as I always like to say, hashtag it's all about the kids. So with that said, I appreciate everybody's efforts. Congratulations, Wendy. Congratulations, Helen. Congratulations, Adriana, who I'm sure is tuned in. We congratulate you all. We welcome Adriana to our board, and we look forward to the work that we will do to continue to service our community. Thank you all and have a good night. I need a motion to adjourn. Made by Ms. Jersey, seconded by Mr. Crumley. All in favor? Seriously, is there anyone opposed? Then have a very good night. Thank you all.
Lisa, will you give me a call, please?
Congratulations, Helen. Congratulations, Wendy. Good night, everyone.